Thank you. It's great to be here this evening. Very unusual theme, which I love. When Trina first called me up and said, I have this idea, what do you think if it was 3 things you wished you'd put in the book? And I thought, I love that. Count me in, I'll be there. The book that Mike Tennant and I have written is aimed at the people ads are aimed at. It's really not aimed at our industry, although the industry seems to enjoy it and seems to enjoy the radio show. It's really aimed at the people we aim our work at. And before I go any further, I want to introduce somebody in the audience who is such a huge, I call him the heart and soul of our radio show and the heart and soul of this book. And I get all the attention because I'm the voice of the show, but you have to know how much Mike Tennant is the show. Where are you, Mike? Right there. An amazing partner, let me tell you. Our radio show, the reason or the idea we had for the radio show was we wanted to invite the public inside the world of advertising. And we wanted to take them inside the boardrooms where the decisions are made. We wanted them to take them inside the creative departments where great ideas are conceived. And we wanted to take people inside recording studios and inside film studios so they could actually see how advertising is put together. And our hope is that, and was that, if the public takes another look at our business with new eyes, there will be possibly a greater appreciation of the thinking and the creativity at work in our business. And if the public gains a greater understanding of our business, maybe, just maybe, they will start spending their money with the great advertisers and patronize the clients who approve great work and stop spending money with the people who don't. We get a lot of feedback from listeners on our show because we have, I think it's over 600,000 listeners a week, so we get a lot of feedback. They are very vocal about advertising. They love to talk about advertising. Many have said, and this is an email we get a lot, I used to loathe advertising, but you've made it a fascinating place. And Mike and I love to hear that because that's exactly why we're doing this show. Other emails have said, I never gave advertising a second thought, but now I try and analyze it all. I love it. So we love that email too. And then one email that we get a lot, which always makes us laugh, is, still hate advertising, love your show, still hate advertising. But that feedback that we get, those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails that we get, are pretty amazing. In many ways, the Age of Persuasion is advertising's biggest focus group. So, with that in mind, I want to tell you about the 3 chapters I wish we could have put in the book, just for fun. And I haven't even cleared this with Mike, so he has no idea what I'm going to say. But all 3 are based on what listeners have said to us over the 4 years we've done the show. And the first chapter, I wish we could have included in our book, was to be a chapter where we had a series of ads rated by agency people and consumers and compare the results. I'm always so curious in trying to figure out the chasm that may exist between what we think works as advertising people and what really works out there in the marketplace. I think that every creative person harbors a small, damp place in their heart that wonders quietly if they really do have a unique understanding of the human condition. And I know I do. You know, that special enhanced sensitivity to the way people feel and act and dream and function is supposed to be our main skill set, right? Our special gift as ad people. And that we, above all, should fully understand the concept of desire. Over the years, I have been so confident in some of the campaigns I've been involved in, only to find they didn't really work at all. And of those campaigns, the strategy seemed so insightful, The product seemed so ripe for a great idea. The creative was so fully formed, I would have bet the house on it. But there it sailed, so proudly and valiantly out into the great unknown. It passed like a silent ship in the stillest night, directly into the Bermuda Triangle. Topped only by that great moment when you excitedly ask the client how the campaign is doing, and she tells you in vibrant Technicolor how nothing seems to be the main feedback. And you feel that little bead of sweat right here, in that little coccyx space. And then I've experienced the opposite feeling, where I remember working on the launch ad for a new wine called Pied d'Or. And we came up with a lovely, quirky TV idea that featured a beautiful Parisian woman talking about what she loved most about being French, and it was a French wine. And it was sexy, and it was funny, and it was smart. And when it finally got through the gauntlet of approvals, between the client and the liquor approval people, the sexy was taken out so fast that the spot was literally left spinning like a top. The funny was surgically removed and then run over by a steamroller. And then the smart was blasted into oblivion. As a matter of fact, I was so appalled by what was left of the spot that I refused to go to Paris on the shoot. Now you have to understand, I was a young copywriter at the time, and going to Paris on a shoot is like winning the lottery. It still is. But I stood on my principles while everyone else went to Paris, had a drunk old time on expense accounts, had the time of their lives in Europe, and managed to shoot a spot between great meals and Parisian nights. I quietly stewed in Toronto, secure only in the fact that this wretched spot would eventually hit the air in its mangled state, do absolutely no business whatsoever, and I would get to deliver that delicious "I told you so." So eventually the spot hit the air. Some of you may remember it if you're old enough. It was in the mid-'80s, late 80s. A beautiful French woman in the spot says some completely random things. And then she says she loves Pied d'Or because it's, and I quote, dry without the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Within 3 weeks of the first airing of this spot, the client sold out of Pied d'Or. 3 weeks after that, they sold out again. Every single time that spot aired, they sold out of Pied d'Or wine. That spot ran for 7 years. 7 torturous years of painful reminders of how wrong I had been. 10 years after it finally stopped, I was at a restaurant with my wife, Debbie, and we asked the waiter to suggest a wine. He said, "How about Pied d'Or?" To which I instantly rolled my eyes, and my wife explained to the waiter that I had once done a commercial for that wine that I had never liked. And the waiter paused for a second, and then his eyes lit up, and he said, "Was it the one with that beautiful French lady who says dry without the edge?" To which I just stared at him and said, "Yes." And he said, "I loved that commercial." And proceeded to regale us with his lust for the commercial, how it had made such an impression on him, how she was the most beautiful woman in the world, how he had never forgotten it. Why does this happen? Later in the evening, this is the coup de grace here. Later in the evening, I looked towards the kitchen and I noticed that he and the chef were looking at me through the round kitchen window in the door, pointing at me and talking, and I saw the chef go, how can an advertising professional be that wrong about persuasion? Not just kind of wrong, historically wrong.